Mad Science Films. I'm Jimmy P, filmmaker and sexual astronaut. First up, guys, please check out our fourth feature film for free. Now on YouTube, just search for Little Monster or click on the link in the show notes below. This episode, I'm joined by a very special guest, the madman himself behind Fractured Visions, the film night, Fractured Visions, the film festival, and Fractured Visions now, the distributor, Mr. Phillip Escott.
Oh, you spoil me, sir. Thank you, mate.
You are spoiling
very much for having me back on again.
Yeah. Way back in, we caught up with Phil way back on episode 49.
Ooh.
Doesn't seem that long ago. We actually stopped numbering them to make it seem like we're not that old, and apparently it's bad for the algorithms. So I've lost count, but I think we're around about episode 200 now. So it's been a long time coming, dude. So guys, pack your wetsuit, because this episode we're doing a deep dive into distributing motion pictures. Phil, I first met as a filmmaker, yourself, good sir. But the past few years, I've noticed you've been absolutely tireless in bringing other people's movies to attention and exposure. So first question, and a bit of an unfair one. When are we getting more Phil Escott content, dude?
Oh, well, the latest documentary, The Found Footage Phenomenon, is doing the festival circuit at the moment. So that's playing in Austin in a couple of weeks' time in Fantastic Fest. Then it's up to Sitges in October. And then we've agreed a deal with a rather large company that you will all be familiar with, but the paperwork's not complete just yet. But yes, it will be coming very, very soon.
Nice. Excellent. Yes, I was lucky enough to see, I don't know, like whether it was the final version or whether an earlier version of it, but it's been very cool to check out on the socials, people digging it. I think it was part of Fright Fest, is that right?
It was indeed, mate. Yes, that was the world premiere back in August. 2 weeks ago. I
was shamelessly name dropping and kind of going, I know that guy. Fractured Visions itself, though, started as a film night in Cardiff, showing an amazing mix of like old school cult classics and some newer indie cinema. Has that always been something like you're kind of like passionate about? Because I've noticed that's kind of developed through to FracViz, the film fest, and now FracViz, the label. So, you know, what's the thing? What's the thoughts behind that, dude?
Yeah, you're spot on. So it's always been a thing for me to share films with people, be it like if it was at my flat having some friends around and just doing like a marathon of films, there'd be a collection of old, new stuff. And so it's all evolved from that, really, just taking it from the flat and into an actual theatre. So yeah, the motto's always been the same, just share movies that I love.
Over the past few years, you started doing special features for Boutique Blu Ray labels such as Arrow and other guys. How did that initially come about then?
Yeah, so that was when struggling as a filmmaker, just to actually get some money in, I do like freelance camera work. And yeah, as time went on, that became like the biggest source of income for me. So it was a case of filmmaking kind of dipped off and the Blu-ray stuff kind of crept up. And yeah, at one point it's just overlapped and it became the day job. And now it's something of a career now, I guess.
I was going to say, so I think like the next step that I noticed, and I may be wrong on this, was you kind of graduated, if that's the right word, into becoming the producer for Collar Boss, which was an amazing film, which again you showed at Fractured Visions, the film fest.
So yeah, that was one of the first things where I got a taste of being actually able to bring a film that I've loved for a long while and get it back out there on the shelves. So I've been doing it with 88 Films as well, with some of the Italian stuff. And yeah, from there it's like, well, maybe I could do this myself, but I had no idea beyond like the production side, like how the hell the distribution game worked. So then that took another 2 or 3 years just to try and get my head around it. And Second Sight Films, who Chris Holden at Second Sight, he's been like a mentor really. So he's been showing me the ropes in a very, very honest and open way, which has been amazing.
So what actually is involved in being a producer then of a film that you want to bring to Blu-ray?
Yeah, so the basics is finding out who owns the rights, if there's workable materials, if there aren't existing HD masters, do you have access to the original camera negative? Does it even exist anymore? If it doesn't exist, is there an interpositive, an internegative? and just following the chain down until you actually find something that you can use, even if it's just like a 35mm print, because you can restore those bad boys these days to pretty good condition. So yeah, that's the basis, and then from there it's figuring out who's alive, because most of these films are 40, 50, 60 years old sometimes, so that could be a ball ache. But then it's trying to contextualize the film as well, so that's when the academics and the film historians come in and help sort of elevate the package, so people who may be new to the film get a bit of a deeper understanding of where the film came from, why it's important, and hopefully shed a bit of light on why the film's relevant still, hopefully to this day. And then the part I had less experience in was the design and packaging. So I mean, I had no idea that like a case like this and a case like this are different. They have different names, they have different like serial codes and all that stuff. So that's the really boring stuff that I had no idea about, but now I do.
So the producer aspect, which you did for other companies, was kind of a dry run for Fractured Visions, the label. But what, like 30% of it, or only 50% of it, and then everything else was?
Yeah, so I'd say probably a good 30 to 40% was the boring, like the boring stuff, the producing side of things, is like getting interviews, editing, all of that sort of stuff. Then then there's like an entire business that comes after that I had no idea about. And that took a couple of years to actually learn how it all operated.
And how are you feeling it? Are you kind of wondering what the hell you got into, or you're like, yeah, I'm on board now?
No, I'm into it now, definitely. First, there was a culture shock because the deadlines are so crazy and they're always moving. So I was actually speaking to the guys here at the moment who do all the pressing and the printing. So in order to get everything I need for November's releases, which is 29th of November, so at the very end of November, to get everything done and printed and shipped out in time, it needs to be done by the 4th of October. But I'm like, what? That's like nearly 8 weeks. Can't operate with that sort of deadline.
I mean, as social media has taught us, Blu-ray boutique customers are a very forgiving bunch, and they're fine. There's never any negative comments.
But no, it happens all the time because everything's like swings and roundabouts at the moment. I mean, I missed the deadline for Luz because the printer ran out of paper. There's a stock shortage everywhere. So if you're not running out of plastic, you're running out of paper, and they don't know until like weeks. So it's like, we are supposed to print it this week, but we've run out of paper. So can you wait a week? It's like, balls. And then that throws everything off again because you need at least 2 weeks to get everything sent up to the stores. So a week for them is 2 weeks for everyone else. And then the next thing you know, it's 3 weeks delayed. It's like, ugh.
So it's like, this bottleneck then that just kind of
the ripple effect, yeah.
Wow. And again, a million miles away from the filmmaking.
Yeah. I used to think it was stressful trying to get someone like to a studio on time.
Wow. Yeah.
No. That's the easy part now.
Different world. So do you see FracViz, the distributors, primarily as a boutique Blu Ray label? Is that your main focus, really?
Yeah. So the goal has always just been share films that I love, and we're still going to be doing the monthly Cardiff events once chapter are back up and running again, which hopefully should be next month.
Cool.
And the festival's still going to be going on. But yeah, it's just that's very much a Cardiff thing.
Yeah.
So the label is like expanding that, putting it on a national sort of level.
International, even. I mean,
international, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been brilliant to kind of see, mate. So, talking about the Blu-rays, then, is there still a market for physical media? Being at the front line of it, is that still something that is viable going forward? Do you reckon?
Absolutely, and the market is very much driven towards the collector's market now. Yeah. That's where it is. So luckily, I got in at the right part of the business. So instead of the traditional bare bones releases, that they are dying out. There's no demand for that. People rent or buy that on VOD. But yeah, the collector's market is the thing propping everything up at the moment.
Yeah.
And so and you'll notice now UHDs are starting to go up because the boutiques are involved. So it's just going to evolve into UHD.
Yeah. which is terrifying because I'm gonna have to get all new kit, man. And I noticed with FracViz, you've also kind of gone into streaming and downloads and everything now. So you got Lose up on Prime Video. I've definitely seen. Any other?
Yes, it's on all the streamers. It's all on like
Nice.
iTunes and Google and Microsoft, Xbox.
Wow.
So yeah, it's everywhere, and that is just me trying to gauge how the collector's editions do versus the digital side. Because in my heart, I know the physical is where it's at. Everyone keeps saying digital, where it's going. So like, is it really? Let's find out.
I know it's early days, but what's the early lessons been so far from that? Has it been that there is much of a thirst for it digitally, or is it still physical media?
Physical. Yeah, it's like day and night. Yeah, the digital side is just like nothing.
Wow.
And the physical is just up here, digital here.
I've been told similar. Like, oh yeah, the future's digital. It's like, okay, well, the future better turn up soon because
true that.
We had a similar thing with.
I'm not sure where that came from, but maybe for the bigger films, maybe I think better on streaming.
A bullshit thing distributors tell people like
just to cut costs.
But we found the same with Little Monster, and the DVD we put out ourselves. That still was the biggest profit margin for us as filmmakers. Was that beyond any sort of streaming stuff? That the streaming stuff seems to be the big con, and we probably should have learned from the musicians and everything who were telling this to us about 10 years ago. But you got to try these things.
Yeah, you got to find out for yourself, man.
I got my own copy of Lose Flower of Evil, and it is a gorgeous package, man. I mean, the booklet, I'm not one normally for. I tend to buy Blu-rays really for like the special features, all that kind of stuff. But I do appreciate a nice package, and as a consumer, when it came in the post, and the CD, the design work, all of that, it made my day. It was a beautiful one, and you have a package like Lose. And then, as you were talking about the bare bones release, you have that, and it's day and night. It is a million miles away. But what I've got to ask then is, as the person putting this out, how can do you even have any profit margin? Because it is such a lush package with the booklet, the lobby cards that you've had made up, the amazing work that went into the design of the booklet, let alone the actual content of it. Are you making any money on the Blu-rays, man?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not on sort of Arrow level because these are limited runs, but I'm a one-man show, so technically I only need to pay for me. so yeah, I can justify doing the lower numbers. So yeah, I put a lot into it financially, and the reward is there. It will pay for itself, and I will make money off the back end of it, but it's not going to be like I'm making tens of thousands of pounds.
So primarily it's still the passion rather than the dollar.
It is.
Yeah. No,
it's terrible business logic, but hey, that's me.
So again, kind of going back, your first release was again, remind me what it's called.
Yeah, Silent Action.
That's right. So a nice mix of Italian, police gangster movies, modern stuff with Lose. That was your second release, am I right in thinking that?
It was, yep.
You're back to Italy for release 3, am I correct?
We are, yeah. So Free Hand for a Tough Cop, Umberto Lenzi's crime film.
Beautiful. Again, the last time I had that was on some weird, I'm fairly sure, illegal bootleg DVD box set with tons of Italian other stuff, some of which had subtitles, some of which didn't. So I'm looking forward to seeing a nice version of that.
Yeah, I think this is actually the first time it's been released here since VHS. So it's going to be the first time anywhere it's been released English friendly.
Fantastic. And then I think next one up, which has recently been announced, is the Korean movie. Is that right?
No, we got 29 Palms coming before Friend, which is Bruno Dumont's 2003 experimental horror film, which is very nasty, but in the best possible way. So excited for that. I'm going to release it on Valentine's Day because I'm a sick bastard, and a film that depressing and bad and ugly and nasty just needs to ruin an event like that.
Are you dealing with remasters yourself, or are you picking up pre-existing like digital assets?
Yep. So I'm working with what is available at the moment, as I don't have the resources to do a full-on restoration just yet. That's a milestone. So yeah, I'm building towards it at the moment. I have a film in mind. It's a 90s film that has been released in America, which is the print that they've used is terrible. So I'm in negotiations with the studio that own the film at the moment. Everything's been pre-agreed, but nothing's finalized as yet. But hopefully, yes, I'll be doing my first restoration, if not the end of next year, the beginning of the year after.
There you go. And that's
Fingers
your
crossed.
badge of honor then.
Yes. Then I'm real. I'm a real company then.